Hello and welcome to this week's content tea party. And here we are again, a little bit of a disrupted schedule this week. Um, for those of you who follow me on social media, you probably know that I became a new auntie just today, last week. So it's been, I've been spending a lot of time staying in touch with my sister and following all the developments of, my lovely brand new nephew. Such exciting stuff. Really, really excited. So, welcome to today's tea party. I have some interesting news for you today. I have my tea at the ready, in of course, the obligatory owl mug. You may have noticed I have a thing for owls, as you can see right here. That is really a nice, beautiful poster, which you can get, I think, for about 20 euros on Etsy these days. But still, I really love it. Um, Good. So let's have a bit of a word. Today is something really interesting, actually. I was browsing social media today, which is one of the places I like to get my news from. And what happened was that it was quite interesting to see that they had a poll recently, so they did some research. And it was quite interesting to see that they tried to move away a little bit from, the usual social media platforms. So what they asked their audience in this particular poll was, what alternative social media platforms do they use? And I was quite interested in this. As you can see, the results, not on this side, but on this side, um, 37% of the businesses that they actually polled. Now, this is Social Media Today, a very popular social media platform. And what they did was they asked their own readers. So it's not necessarily sort of businesses across the board, but specifically businesses who are using social media. And of course, I'm sure that there are some solopreneurs and entrepreneurs in there, and of course, marketeers. So their answer was as follows: apart from the main social media, now the main social media would be, the usual big ones that you hear about: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, all these large platforms. So people said that apart from using the large platforms for their social media, they're also using Reddit, they're using Twitch, and they're using Quora. And I'll be honest, I haven't used Twitch for marketing at all. But I did find that Reddit and Quora, especially with my clients, they are very popular and some people find them really, really useful. I know for a fact that posting on Reddit can be a very, very good source of traffic. And in fact, I had clients who, before they started working with me and started working on their search engine optimization and their blogging to rank it in Google, they used to use Reddit a lot to actually direct traffic to their website. Of course, it gets very tiring to do social media only, so of course, I would always recommend doing better value content, starting to blog, and then growing your traffic that way, so that you don't rely only on these platforms. But an interesting appearance is Quora. In the old days, I must admit, I used to think Quora was a little bit of a spammy platform because sometimes, you pop a question in there and a lot of terrible answers come out there. Of course, it's not very well managed in the sense that, not so great answers are not usually deleted, but there is also good content in there, and especially it's a very good tool if you're looking to create content, because what it does is it actually shows you what questions people are asking, and it helps you go down the proverbial rabbit hole when it comes to clicking through and going deeper and deeper into what people are asking and people are answering. Of course, you have to be careful on Quora because there are people there who are there to promote their business and disguise themselves as people who ask questions so that they can answer their own questions. So you got to be a bit wary of that, a bit aware of it, I suppose, because you can see it very clearly when there are people who are just planning to self-promote. Okay, so this I thought was very interesting. So interesting to see that people are not just focusing on the big platforms, but also on the small ones. If you're using any of these small platforms, let me know. I would be very interested in hearing how you are using them in your social media, and also, how you use them maybe to feed the content or generate content for your audience. Okay, so the second piece of use is actually just a little piece of fun. And basically, Messenger has already added the Halloween filters these days. As you know, this is Halloween month. I'm looking forward to wearing a different kind of mask later this year, later this month, actually. Of course, we have all got used to the fact that we wear hot masks. I'm saying hot because, of course, where I live in Malta, it tends to be hot practically all year round. We have a very short winter, so it has been very hot for us to wear masks everywhere. It is also hot actually at Halloween usually to wear these crazy masks, but I love to wear them anyway. I just love walking around when nobody can see who I am. It just takes me back to when I was a kid and I used to love dressing up as a clown and nobody could tell who I was. So here you go. You can try and do that on Messenger, but you're not going to get away with it because they're going to know who you are anyway. But still, a little bit of fun. And I'm sure this is going to be added to a lot of other platforms are going to jump on this pretty soon if they haven't already. I haven't checked them out very much because I've been pretty busy. In fact, October has been a very busy month for me because I'm actually working with a few VIP clients, and yeah, and it's keeping me busy and it's keeping me exciting. It's very exciting to see my clients get excited about my work. So it's actually been October so far has been a really nice month, and September was really good too. Okay, so this question actually, as you probably noticed, I had to change my schedule today and I went live a little bit later. So I actually had not prepared a question, but I was in my inbox just before I went live and there was a question in there which actually came from my website. And I thought, this is perfect. This is the question I'm going to answer today. So the question is, how many blog posts per week do I need for ranking? So this is actually a question I get asked a lot, and this is why I thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to answer it again because I get asked this so many times. Okay, so how many blog posts do you need every week to rank? Now, the question is, it depends, but it depends is something that is not going to help you very much, so I'm going to go, of course, into a lot more detail. So, most people, so if you had to Google this, you would probably find graphs showing you that as soon as you go from 1 blog post per week to 2 blog posts per week, the magic starts happening. And you start getting ranking faster, you get more visibility, and you start getting more traffic. And I would agree with that. I have tested this many times. In fact, I do not really recommend blogging less than twice per week, unless of course you are just starting out, you're practicing, and your goal is to reach the 2 per week eventually. If the 2 per week is your goal, fine, but do not start with 1 per week and decide to stick with 1 per week because it takes a little bit too long. And when you start going into years to actually seeing results, you're going to give up. So definitely start off with 1 per week, but with the goal of going up to 2 per week, because when you do that, you are going to see traction much more quickly. It seems to be sort of the magic number. Although, of course, if you blog every day, you should see more traction. But that is not always the case. So if you look at these graphs, there's quite a few of them on blogs like the HubSpot blog, and similar research blogs. And you will find that for companies that blog very often, the curve keeps going up. So, the more you blog, the more the better it is for your traffic, the better it is for your visibility. But you have to be a little bit careful as well, because Google is also looking at the quality. So, if you go from 2 per week to 5 per week or 7 per week, If you're sacrificing quality for that, it is not a good idea. It's better to actually stick to 2 per week and make sure that they're really, really good quality. You're actually going to rank much better if you have longer, stronger, better quality content twice a week than if you blog every week. Than if you blog every day, sorry. And blogging every day can also sometimes mean that you end up, especially, so it depends on your business. So if you just have 2 or 3 main topics in your business, and you don't open up a lot, so you don't do a lot of different things, because you're just a small business. If you're going to write every day, the chances are that you're going to create a lot of overlapping content that is too similar. And instead of helping Google very clearly understand what you're about, you may actually confuse them. I actually have had this problem with a client before, where there was so much content in one bucket on their website, which was about very similar topics, that at one stage Google just stopped indexing because they said, you know what, I've got enough of this content. They keep generating more of the same, and Google eventually says, you know what, I don't need this content to give a better experience to people searching, so I don't need to keep indexing this stuff. So you have to be careful that everything you put out there is actually seen as quality content by Google. And this is a very, very interesting topic, which you can connect to actually last week's live, because what I'm doing at the moment, actually, I am rereading and I am actually planning a webinar. I'm reading the guidelines of quality content from Google, the EAT guidelines by Google. And one of the things that they mention about content is that it's very important that the content is useful, that it is skillful, and that it is also created by someone that obviously has experience and is knowledgeable about the subject, and is ideally also a little bit well known. Maybe you have authored on other blogs, or you have some PR out there with your name. So this kind of content is going to make a much better impact when it comes to traffic, and also when it comes to your client. So in reality, it's not about how many times per week. You don't want to flood your website with too much content. You want to hit the 2 per week, yes, as a minimum, definitely. But that 2 per week, those 2 Google signals per week, could easily be a blog post and your show notes. What you need to focus on is making sure that that blog post and those show notes are high quality, and they are well SEO'd, and they're also organized in a way on your site that they give Google a really, really clear idea of who you are, what you do, and of course the kind of people the content should be served to. So that is definitely the main thing, because ultimately all Google wants to do is serve people the best possible results for the search term that they typed in the search engine. So if you're going to help Google do that, then they absolutely do not mind that you are trying to sell something, because as long as you are giving something in exchange, Google is extremely happy to serve your content, as long as that content is giving the end user something of value. So always think there has to be something of value in each blog post. Okay, so that's all. That's all I have to say when it comes to the frequency. Of course, we could go much deeper on this subject, but it's just something I normally do in my programs. And if you have questions, feel free to pop them under this video, and also if you are watching the replay, feel free to pop them under the replay and tag me, because otherwise it becomes really hard for me to see it. I do get a lot of notifications, especially on Facebook. If you're seeing this on YouTube or any other channel, chances are I am more likely to see your comments, but there you go. So make sure you pop them under the video, and that's all I have for you today. Look forward to seeing you again at 4 p.m. CT next week.